Irritating taxi driver. Sam walks into a bar and asks for a beer. As he's drinking, another man comes in and orders a glass of water. Sam decides to leave after his first beer, but as he's going out, he notices the other man leaving too. Sam goes to another bar and asks for a beer, but the same guy comes in too. This happens twice more, and eventually Sam starts to freak out. Who is this guy? Sam wonders. Finally, Sam has had enough and says to the man, "Who are you and why are you following me around?" The guy replies, "I'm your taxi driver."
The lion. A lion wakes up one morning in a really bad mood. So he goes over to the monkey, roars loudly and says, "Who's the mightiest animal in the jungle?" And the monkey replies, "You are, master." Then the lion goes to the zebra and says, "Who's the mightiest animal in the jungle?" Shaking with fear, the zebra says, "You are, master." Next, the lion meets an elephant. "Who's the mightiest animal in the jungle?" the lion demands to know. But instead of answering, the elephant grabs the lion, slams him against a tree 6 times, drops him and walks off. All right, the lion shouts. "There's no need to get angry just because you don't know the answer."
The Bride and the Groom. John is going to marry Sally. A few weeks before the wedding, John goes to the priest and makes him an unusual offer. "Look, I'll give you €100 if you'll change the wedding vows," says John. "When you get to the part where I'm supposed to promise to love, honour and obey her forever, I'd appreciate it if you'd just leave that out." John passes the minister a €100 bill, and the priest nods in agreement. But on the day of the wedding, when it's time for the groom's vows, the priest looks the young man in the eye and says, "Will you promise to obey her every command, to serve her breakfast in bed every morning of your life, and never to look at another woman as long as you both shall live?" The groom gulps, looks around and says, "Yes." Later, John leans towards the priest and says, "I thought we had a deal." The priest then returns John's €100 bill and says, "She made me a better offer."
Liar. 2 students are arguing when the teacher enters the room. "What's going on here? What are you arguing about?" the teacher asks. One girl answers, "We found a $10 note and decided to give it to the biggest liar." "Lying? Children shouldn't lie. You should be ashamed of yourselves," says the teacher, furious. "When I was your age, I never lied." At which point, the girls give the $10 note to the teacher.
Seeing the light. 2 factory workers, Jim and Sally, are talking. Jim says, "I can convince the boss to give me a day off." And Sally replies, "How are you going to do that?" "It's easy," Jim says. "Just watch and learn." So, Jim hangs upside down from the ceiling and calls the boss. "What on earth are you doing?" says the boss as she comes in. And Jim replies, "I'm a light bulb." Then the boss says, "Jim, you've been working too much. Go home now and get some rest." At that, Jim jumps down from the ceiling and prepares to go home. At that point, Sally starts leaving too, following Jim out of the room. "And where do you think you're going, young woman?" the boss asks. And Sally says, "I'm going home too. I can't work in the dark."
God speaks. A man is talking to God. "So, God, how long is 1,000,000 years?" And God replies, "To me, it's about 1 minute." And the man asks, "So how much is 1,000,000 euros?" And God says, "To me, it's about 1 euro cent." So the man says, "Okay, can I have 1 cent?" And God replies, "Wait a minute."
2 dogs. Brian has 2 dogs called Common Sense and Trouble. Brian takes his dogs to the park every evening, but one day he only takes Trouble and leaves Common Sense at home. While Brian is walking, Trouble disappears. Brian looks everywhere for the dog but can't find it anywhere. Eventually, he starts to panic. An elderly woman sees Brian and asks, "What's the matter? Can I do anything to help?" And Brian replies, "I'm looking for Trouble." "I beg your pardon," the woman asks, interrupting Brian. "Where's your common sense?" And Brian replies, "I left it at home."
Caught in the act. A woman is working in her office when Jim comes in. In a moment of passion, the woman and Jim start kissing. A few minutes later, the boss walks in and shouts, "Is this what you get paid for?" "No," says the woman, "I do this for free."
Paper dunce. An attractive new temp is standing in front of the paper shredder with a confused look on his face. "Do you need any help?" a woman asks. "Yeah," the temp says. "How does this thing work?" The woman takes the papers from the temp's hands and demonstrates how to work the shredder. After a moment, the temp still has a confused look on his face. "Any questions?" the woman asks. "Yeah," says the temp. "Where exactly do the copies go out from?"